The best designs accommodate the driver as well as the designer, with attention to basic creature comforts. Fiero's bucket seats are designed with firm lumbar support for long-range comfort and lateral restraint for optimum driver positioning. Roominess is also important to comfort. Fiero carries two people in style, with headroom, legroom, and hip room that is comparable to many larger cars. Other standard features establish Fiero's identity as a true driver's car. Full-gauge instrumentation, positioned for easy reference. A sport console with controls located for driver and passenger accessibility. A remote fuel filler door release. A dome lamp with integral map light. Side window defoggers. And a tone generator that reminds the driver to take the keys, turn off the headlamps, and disengage the parking brake. In Fiero SC, this unique driving environment is enhanced by full tinted glass, a stylish trim theme, and extra convenience touches that seem to turn up in just the right places. To set the proper driving mood, a selection of high-fidelity sound systems are offered, with choice of stereos that feature innovative headrest-mounted speakers. This intimate driving experience is further protected by the extensive use of acoustic insulation, which helps keep outside noises out.
In my last technical video, you probably watched me reinstall the steel bumper on the Fiero and reassemble the back end. And you may have even seen me getting the car ready for my very first car show. But with the car now running and driving, I need to focus my attention on the interior while I slowly work the bugs out. But make sure you stick around until the end of the video because I'm going to be having a trivia question in this video. Okay, as any good weekend warrior knows, you start by cleaning out the glove box pockets and anything else that isn't bolted down. For now, everything goes into a box, including my rubber ducks. I've already removed the radio, which I'll be replacing with a restored OEM GM cassette deck in the next couple videos. I'd already removed the center console previously, so I start my disassembly on the passenger side, beginning with the passenger seat. First, I push it back so I can access the front bolts, which I remove with my socket wrench. And then slide the seat forward so I can access the rear bolts. The rear bolts are a little bit harder to access, but thankfully my mom always tests her cooking on me, so I always get an energy boost.
Hey AJ, I need you to try this.
No, I'm filming, right? It's good though, but I am filming.
Whoops.
With the bolts removed, I carefully lift and remove the passenger seat. Remember, these seat rails are rusty and jagged. They can damage your dash, threshold, and door panel if you're not careful when removing the seat. With the seat out of the way, I can now more easily access everything else. I continue to clean out the car, including removing the floor mats, which I really could have done before anyways. I then move on to removing the seat belts. Remember, it is very important to keep track of where everything goes. There are 4 seatbelt bolts per side. Each one is different and has a different combination of sleeves and washers, so it's important that you keep track of where they're removed from. I'll have a lot more detail and specifics in the next video when I reinstall everything. With the seat and the seatbelt bolts out, I can remove some of the other trim left in the car, including the threshold trim. It's attached using a series of 7mm hex screws and just slides towards the back and out.
It looks like a hockey stick.
With the last of the trim out, I can start removing the carpet.
Oh, ew.
Other than the seat bolts, a few trim clips, and some trim, the carpet is generally not attached to the car and should come out easily. The most important thing is to be aware of the clips that attach to it in the center console. This center console skeleton is weak and can break if you pull too hard on the carpet without removing those clips first. The carpet comes out as a single piece on either side and is actually very high quality. It's not cut pile like cheaper cars, but thick tweed loop carpet that's glued into a thick 1/4-inch rubber matting that lines the entire underside. Attached are several pieces and layers of jute backing, which also absorbs heat and vibration. With the carpet out, I get the shop vac and vacuum up all the dirt and grime left behind from the carpet. Finally, with everything vacuumed and cleaned, I take a soapy scrub brush and clean up any remaining spots that aren't otherwise spotless. It's worth mentioning that this car had a relatively rust-free body, as the floor pan shows. Above is a sneak peek from the next video after cleaning up some basic surface rust and applying some metal etching primer. I'll go into more detail on this in the next video. And with that, I move on to the driver's side. On the driver's side, I start with the gauge cluster first and leave the seat so I have a nice place to sit while I disassemble it. I begin by removing the headlight switch pod, which is held in place by 4 Torx bit screws. It's worth mentioning that GM, specifically Pontiac, used special screws in their interior. They are Torx head screws that were uniquely designed to attach interior pieces together while also exposed, thus being made part of the aesthetic. These screws were only used in a couple of other cars such as the Chevy Beretta, the Camaro, a couple of Oldsmobiles, and mostly only Pontiacs, so don't lose these. After disconnecting the plugs on various switches, I then move to the other side and remove the trunk release and rear defog switch pod. These are also attached by 4 screws and is removed the same way. Next, I move to the gauge cluster itself and begin removing the screws, holding the gauge fascia surround, but I leave it in place for now. Next, I remove the driver's side air vent. And then remove the plastic cover for the underside of the steering column. And with that removed, the gauge surround fascia can also be removed. Next, I remove the rear cover to the gauge cluster. And then remove all the screws holding the gauge cluster to the dash and steering column. I lower the steering wheel, and then disconnect the connectors and remove the gauge pod from the car. I'll be sending this off to J Gunset for repair and calibration. With the cluster out, I move back over to the other side and begin removing the passenger side AC vent. But I eventually get distracted.
There's a leaf. Oh, there it goes. The area where the seat goes is also equally as comfortable. Like, I don't know why it's so comfy over here.
Forgetting all about the dash vent, I start removing the dash screws and bolts. But in order to access all the screws, I have to first remove the speaker grills.
Yay! Oh, look at that speaker!
I remove the passenger side grille and then remove the screws that attach the dash to the chassis. There are a total of 4 long 7mm screws at the top and 2 10mm screws at the bottom holding in the dash. With the 2 passenger side screws removed, I move over to the driver's side and begin removing those 2 screws as well. With those out, I'll work on the lower 10mm screws, but before I can get to the one on the driver's side, I have to remove the hood release lever.
Do you want to get my panel collection over here?
No, I'm doing something.
Yep, got it.
With that out, I remove the driver's underside dash bolt, and then move back over to the passenger side. With the seat out, it's easy to just lay on my back upside down to get access to the screw. I lower the steering column and then carefully work the dash loose. Removing the dash is easier with 2 people, so once it's free, I pass it to my dad through the passenger side.
take it. Go, 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 go. Ah.
Next, I remove the driver's side seat, doing the same thing I did with the passenger side. With the 4 bolts removed, I remove the seat and take a break.
Oh my god, the coin. There's like a whole bank down there.
There's enough money back here for a McDonald's run, some jewelry at Claire's, or badly needed trim and hardware from the Fiero store. Which do you guys think I'll pick? Okay, enough fantasizing about tree clips and Fiero hardware. I'm almost done gutting the interior. I finish up the driver's side, removing the carpet, and then removing the emergency brake handle and cable. I'll reinstall a new cable in a later video. Next, I vacuum the floorboard like I did on the passenger side, and when everything is good and clean, I take a wet rag and clean up any dirt and grime that may have snuck past the carpet. And with that, the interior is stripped and ready for me to start installing refurbished parts, which I'll show in a later video. But before you go, I want to bring back the trivia. Can anyone tell me what this little notch or hole is for on the back of the passenger side dash? It's directly behind the map pocket that faces the passenger. If you know the answer, put it in the comments below and I'll tell you in the next episode when I start putting everything back. Stay tuned next week for a surprise guest video with Mr. Gunset as he tests and rebuilds my Fiero gauges. Thank you again for watching.
What's he doing?
He's just silly. What's he doing? Hi. Hi, Onyx. His throne.